tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Listen, sorry.
Here it comes.
I have to wait for it because I just like to listen to the music. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV. We are back. Black Sails, episode XIV. Season 2, episode 6. We are here once again to talk about your favorite show and mine, Black Sails. Guys, thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Ryan Hooks. You can find me at the Twitter at RyanHooks92, right there. Maybe I need to go this way, don't I? Look backwards in the camera. To my left, a couple of lovely ladies, Lauren Salaun.
Hello, everybody. You can find me on Twitter at Lauren Salaun. Yes, I did the double wave as per usual.
I'll do it too.
Jamie
Hello,
Elias.
everybody. I'm Jamie Elias. You can find me on the Twitter and the Instagram at Jamie S. Elias.
And in the Germany too.
And we are in Germany, yes.
Aye, oh, Germany.
Yes, Germany. We're talking
Germany.
about accents. It makes me want to do them.
Aye, do the whole show.
Oh,
the
no.
accents.
We should talk in an accent the whole show.
No, that'd be terrible. Nobody wants to hear us talking in accents for the entire show. We're actually talking about Richard Guthrie's actor prior to the show and about he doing a lot of accents. So when he comes in a few weeks, I'm going to make him do lots of accents. So Sean, if you are watching, I know you are, be prepared with all of your accents because I'm going to ask you about them. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about Black Sails. So what did you think about this particular episode this week?
I thought it was definitely good. And I will say, which we discussed a little bit before, a lot of the things we predicted from last week, we were spot on with a lot of those things. Which, yeah, as we should be, right?
Have you not been listening to the things I've been saying every time I talk?
Pure genius.
Clearly.
No, but I think there was a lot of kind of strategic moves happened this episode, and it's setting us up for a lot of intensity, I think, in the next few episodes.
Definitely.
Jamie?
I feel like there weren't as many loose ends at the end of this episode. I feel like we have a direction of which, like, we know where the characters are going with the plot that each of them have. So I feel like this was definitely a good episode.
I have a question about that in this episode. But first, before we go any farther, I want to talk to you real quick about a couple of things here at AFTERBUZZ TV. First off, don't forget to subscribe to our iTunes, our YouTube, our SoundCloud. Give us the ratings on the Twitter and all that stuff. Tell us what's up. We love the new Black Sails brethren friends of ours and all those people out there. I also want to tell you about one thing that's really cool that's going to go down here in television history, and that's the new ABC TV show, American Crime. It's going to be on Thursdays, March 5th at 9 on ABC. I'm sorry, 9 Central, rather. It is a story that's created by John Ridley, who's the Oscar-winning screenwriter of 12 Years a Slave. It has Felicity Huffman and Timothy Hutton in it, and it centers around race, class, gender, politics. It looks actually really good. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, it looks really intense. I love crime thriller things, so.
Who doesn't love a good crime drama? So don't forget to, like I said, check out American Crime on ABC starting Thursday, March 5th at 9 Central. That's pretty much right after Black Sails ends. So we have, like, you can segue right into it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
There we
Done.
go.
All right, so has this show, in some aspects, become too political? And I mean in that aspect of, do we see too much stuff where people are like, let's just sit around and talk about what's going to happen. And if we don't like it, kill someone. And then talk about what's going to happen. And then kill someone. Is there a level of politics that the show has crossed too much?
I don't think so, because I would think that that's pretty much how a lot of things went down back then. I mean, they're developing countries and nations and stuff. So a lot of that is happening at such a raw level, and so they're having these discussions with these big kind of decision makers for their own communities and states that I think that's given us a glimpse of probably what it would have actually been like. And it doesn't feel heavily political to me. I mean, we still get enough like love scenes and killing action to balance it out.
Yeah, I feel like the last couple episodes feel pretty political, but before that, I feel like we got a lot of background and a lot of fighting and a lot of sex and a lot of everything else that a TV show.
We haven't got a lot of sex lately. I'm a little disappointed.
Right.
You know what in the world? I'm gonna have to agree with you.
Gosh.
It's been lacking of sex.
Can I just get a sex scene?
Can I please
Yeah,
get
there
a sex
wasn't
scene?
really
I
anything.
think there was this week. There was the one with
This week.
Vane and Elanor. However,
Not pissed about that.
they didn't show it.
Right.
Really.
Right. It's just a little makeout
What?
sesh.
I feel like I could imagine it, and I'm okay.
Oh,
We've seen it
we
enough.
can imagine Zach McGowan without a shirt on. That's for
my
sure.
goodness.
boy.
All right, let's talk about all these fine folk this week. So our episode starts off exactly where I was really hoping that it would pick up, which I was really excited because it starts off with like a couple of scenes of stuff shaking, and then it's Vane and Flint fighting. You know, they're raging in the fight on. So I have a question. In a fight, this is a for real fight. Who do you like to win if they actually fought to the death? Who do you like in this fight?
Vane. 100
Yeah, I
times.
think Vane's just more cutthroat. No pun intended or pun intended. But I think Vane's just way more scrappy than Flint. But I would think
But
that
Flint had the upper hand a few times.
I'd be
right, and I
more
would think that
surprised.
Flint might be a more experienced fighter, just with his age and stuff, and his experience as a pirate. But I don't know, Vane's a lot more ruthless.
I think who I would want to win and who I think would win are two totally different things.
I-
Ooh.
I would want Vane to win, but I really think that
I
Flint
think
would win.
what it would depend on is how the fight went down. If it was a fight with swords, I actually think that Vane would be the winner of a fight with swords between the two of them. But if it's a fight how it was going with them fighting in fists and rolling around and that kind of stuff, I think that Flint would take Vane.
I don't know. He used to be in the Navy, right? The Royal Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Wouldn't
like
he be a good swordsman?
feel like-
But Vane is an amazing swordsman,
Right.
and we
Vane
see him practicing
is
a lot.
kind of a badass. He really is. He's been through. I mean, just with that scene of him coming out of the ground and stabbing somebody
Terrifying.
with
He's risen from the dead.
Yeah, like he's impressive.
Well, anyway,
but
that's just a thought of mine.
he's
I
more
think a straight up
strategical.
fight, if it's swords, I think that Vane has maybe a little bit of the upper hand. I think if it's a on the ground roll around fisticuffed kind of fight, I think that Flint has the upper hand. Unfortunately, we don't get to find out who the winner of this fight would be because Elanor steps in and stops it, shooting them at them. She doesn't shoot them, but and it was after she shot, I was like, oh, she shot her gun. Now what's she gonna do? She doesn't have any bullets left. But then I realized that she had a double gun, which has 2 loads in it essentially. But it becomes a double barrel shotgun. However, she's
Fun
like,
historical insight.
yeah, you're fun historical facts. And she's like, if I had another round, I'd shoot you both.
Yeah.
So it just lets us know that she has 1 shot left. I like that.
Appreciated.
I'm sorry.
Much appreciated.
Sometimes I got to throw in a few facts.
All right, or off topic. Let's go back to what happened politically with Elanor and her dad and Vane. What do you think about what happened?
I like Richard Guthrie's thoughts in this. I really think that, I see Vane's perspective. I get that he says I want something immediately, and that's respectable because in this time frame, you don't know if you're going to live tomorrow. Your head's going to be on a spike
Yeah,
next
I
week.
lo-
I mean,
I
ask
love-
Ned Lowe.
How to the point he was with that. He's like, okay, so what do I get? And
Your
enough
broken
of
promises
like,
and
your
shattered dreams are not
your
enough.
visions for what this empire is gonna be. Like, I want something like cold hard cash. I want it now.
and spoiler alert, in the history of Nassau, this doesn't succeed. So,
Damn,
I
you
mean-
with the history.
actually, I was watching the episode and I was like, I wonder what happens with Nassau. So I got on Google and I was
Oh,
looking
see,
up
there we
Nassau,
go.
Bahamas, and finding out all the history about how the island was formed and how it progresses into becoming.
And it wasn't between a treaty between London and the pirates.
And I'm sorry, James McGraw did
I
not.
thought I remembered that.
I missed that one in history class.
yeah.
I like that he's like that. He's like, what do I get right now? And I also, again, I like what Richard Guthrie had to say when he was there saying, what do they think? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Parliament is going to go for this idea of returning Abigail Ashe to them? That's what he wants. And Lord Ashe is going to be all about it. And then now suddenly you're stealing $6 million in gold from them as well, from the
Yeah.
Spanish, who have a treaty with English, who
So
just
he
finished a
can-
war.
Which I think is interesting because we see Flint kind of thinking has this like big picture view of things and like we're in it for the long haul and the greater good. He's getting very lofty in his plans and his dreams and kind of the place he wants to take everybody with this. But then Richard Guthrie points out like, hey, hold on, let's look at the big picture realistically and be like, if you want to play in this political arena with these guys, you can't be then stealing their allies' gold essentially in the next,
It also makes me think too, like where his loyalties lie, right? So when him and his lover made this plan to make Nassau kind of how it's becoming, or how he says his vision for it is, after all that went down and happened, I feel like he has so much hatred towards like everything that had happened that now maybe his goal might be the gold, and maybe he's using this as like some kind of pawn to somehow get to the gold. Because you heard him tell Silver like, hey, the gold is still my first priority. But you hear him tell Elanor, hey, making Nassau this unified thing is now my first priority. So it's just
Funny you say that. The questions that I have written right here on the side of my paper for this very scene. Go ahead. You say that. I'm gonna ask questions. Oh, I was going to say, one of the things I've done is Flint selfish? Are his promises and goals and all that are always self-motivated and affect no one else but him?
I kind of think that's the character he's turned into. I feel like that's what we learned from last episode. At least that's what I think that I learned from last episode, is that maybe he's more self-motivated than he lets off. And maybe Elanor is going to get let down by him because she's putting all her eggs in his basket and he might not be doing it for the right reasons.
And do we trust him?
I don't.
No, I think he's always out for himself. And Hornigold even says that, like, oh, well, I should have known you were going to, as soon as somebody with a better offer came by, you'd throw me under the bus, essentially.
And then he was like, oh, it's for my crew.
Yeah.
Right.
Any good captain would do it.
No, it's not for your crew.
It's for yourself.
It's for yourself.
Everything with him is self-motivated.
But I wonder almost to a certain extent how much of that is he's aware of that, you know, or if he thinks he's really going for the greater good and has this kind of grand vision ahead of him.
I think he's delusional.
You know,
I think there's so much of it that
too.
he misses about himself and what's going on, that he's so blinded by his own ambitions and motivations, you know, with everything that's happened in his life, that he doesn't see it.
Yeah, he's convincing himself that it is.
How much of it does Miranda see?
Everything. I think Miranda really sees more than she lets off to. I think that she's an extremely smart character who knows.
She's the smartest character on the show.
I think that she's one of them. I think her and Rackham. I'm between her and Rackham.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Miranda knows more about everything that's going on in terms of the entire island. I think Rackham is the most quick-witted and clever that could like figure something out.
No,
I think
you're right. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say with Miranda, I mean, she even tells him, you know, if we're going to be partners, we need to actually be partners. And I've been kind of laying low this whole time and I'm done with that. So I'm really excited for Miranda kind of coming out a bit stronger.
Because if they haven't already expanded her character an amazing amount, we're getting more of her.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm excited for it.
You're right. I think she's brilliant. I think she's going to play a huge role coming up.
I agree. Well done. Look at that.
Great job, guys.
Well done. So, and then in terms of all that, so this development happens in the island, and so they're figuring out that they want to try to get Abigail Ash back. Elanor later lies to Flint, saying that Vane agreed and will send her to them if Flint is on board. Yes or no. Obviously he is, because that's the goal, essentially, as he lies about. But then we get this whole interaction with him telling the men about what happened, and also him with Flint. I'm sorry, Flint. Him with Silver. Silver and Flint, Flint and Silver. In my leprechaun green. That was another accent for you.
Yes,
there we go.
Accent.
Done. All right. I actually did a podcast about Outlander, and I did it in a Scottish accent for like 10 minutes.
Wow.
Oh my god!
It was terrible.
One day we have to have you do that here.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Back to the task at hand, Silver and Flint. I like the interactions this week between Silver and Flint. I like Silver every time I see him because I feel like he's always planning ahead, and he doesn't trust anybody, which I like. And he's out like I don't trust him. You believe in him? I don't. I want gold. And he comes to him and asking him about the vote that's supposed to happen now that Hornigold has challenged the men in front, all that with what happened and him lying about it. And I like that he asked him. He's like, I'm having trouble with my vote. Convince me.
I think
puts him on the spot.
I think that Silver and before this episode, Rackham were the two characters that were completely and utterly aware that they're self-motivated and they want what they want and they know how to get it because they're both clever and they're kind of go-getters that way. Rackham changed my mind this episode, but Silver still hasn't. I feel like he, no matter what his motives are, he doesn't have loyalties anywhere. Even though you think like he has loyalties with Flint. If Flint didn't do something he wanted, he'd flip his loyalties in 10 seconds. But I think that Silver doesn't really believe Flint anymore, or he's having issues with that. And
I think Silver kind of plays it smarter. He generally, while he is very much looking out for his own back, does it in a better way than Flint, probably. Burns less bridges.
He knows that. But he doesn't put himself in the forefront. Yeah,
and he always knows that you never, with his changing allegiances all the time, you never know if that person that I'm going to turn away from right now, if I'm going to have to turn back to them. And so he's very smart about that and, does it with a little air of charm. So it works for him.
Finesse, and he doesn't burn bridges.
Yeah,
an air of charm.
Hey, made it up on the spot.
And
lucky charm over there.
Back to believing Flint.
Sorry.
Hi, we make it up as we go along. That's what we do here at AfterBuzz TV shows. Do you believe him when he said that the gold is then becoming the priority? Like, again, back to do we believe him and what he's saying? Because this whole interaction is it's a cover up. What's going on?
Yeah, I think he's biting off more than he can chew. And Richard called him on it. Like, you can't do these, the gold and making and approaching Lord Ashe about making Nassau this amazing place, you know, and getting their approval. Those things are mutually exclusive. And he's like, I can do both. I got it. I think
they're pulling against each other is what he was saying.
Yeah, I think he's taken on more than he can handle, and it's going to kind of blow up in his face is what I think.
Or one of them's a cover-up for the other one.
Right.
Or maybe, I don't know, or something's like to distract. Because he's smart, even though he is a little delusional. He kind of, I think that he has an idea of what he wants to happen. And so far his character has done very well at making it happen. I feel like he's never let me down, like as a character.
With his plans, he says, I'm going to do something. And he figures out a way to do it, even if it doesn't the way you think you should do it.
Exactly.
He gets it done.
Right.
So if his goal right now is to get the gold and get Abigail Ashe, he's going to get it done. It's going to happen.
I think that's true.
Yeah, because who knows? He could turn on Lord Ashe in some way.
And we clearly know that Eleanor's buying his bull, so she's definitely blinded by his thoughts and beliefs and her own power struggle. And
Elanor. Can we talk about Elanor for a second?
Go ahead.
Gosh,
you
Elanor
have the
makes
floor.
Me so sad. Not sad. I take that back. But I feel so bad for Vane because Vane keeps continually.
He's such a sucker.
He's such
My
a
goodness.
Sucker. He continuously gets back in, and she
just has to kiss him, and he's like, okay, whatever you want.
Just I'll do whatever. It doesn't matter. And I feel so bad for him every time. But Elanor, like, no matter what, she's out for. And Elanor is not a selfish. Well, maybe she's selfish, but for different reasons, for right reasons. Like, I really truly believe she has pure motives. I think that she wants Nassau to succeed,
and she wants to put herself in a place of power.
She does. But think about back then being a woman in the world of pirates. And I'm going to talk about this later with Max and Bonny, but you're either a whore or you're what?
A wife.
Oh, what are you? So Elanor has this cool area of power and
empowerment women didn't usually have.
That they didn't have. So I would try to hold on to that.
And they even said her dad says the two women to my left that her dad had written her off because she was a woman and they didn't think nothing was going to come of her, and yet here she is in this position that she got herself and worked hard to do. I feel like she used her dad's stuff a little bit, but
I don't blame her. But I'm pissed about her hurting Vane over and over.
I know.
I know. He should know better.
Poor Charles.
Poor Charles.
He's so sad, so miserable, so lonely. I know, stuck up in that fort with all those dirty men. How terrible for a woman to come take advantage of you after she apologizes. Man, that's what I need in my life.
Taking advantage and the being a sucker are two totally different things.
She's not being that. He's making it pretty easy for her, I feel like. But she's also promising that he can trust her.
But
blah, blah, blah.
How much of it maybe is he's letting her? Maybe he knows. Maybe he's, you know what? She's going to do what she's going to do. I'll just pretend.
But has he ever proved that he's a smart... I don't mean to knock Charles Vane because he's one of my favorite characters on the show, but that's never been he's never been a clever, smart... He's always been...
He's just pretty.
He's strategic and powerful and intimidating and strong.
He has, though, in a way, proven himself this season because he's sort of stepped back. And by stepping back, he's allowing his persona and his aura and all that's exuded by him to be in the forefront. And he's not even doing anything. He's just there, and he knows that just being there is enough. Mm-hmm. He's gonna stare.
It's enough for me. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
Oh, Zach McGowan. If you weren't married with kids, I don't even know what I'd do.
Oh shoot.
Sorry.
He was so grumbly this episode. I feel like his voice reached a new low lion level that we haven't heard. I was like, I don't think
the Zach McGowan roar
voice could get any lower than that.
Yeah,
did you notice that too? It was
totally
extra
when he was talking to her. It was, I know. Really
Sorry, tangent.
No, it really was lower than I've ever heard.
What do I get right now?
I know. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm impressed
talk like
by
this
that.
For the next 5 minutes, I think. I'm just gonna keep talking in my Charles Vane voice.
I can't even do that.
Well, my voice is lower than yours because I'm a man.
Well, I hope so.
And I get taken advantage of by women who apologize to me, and then I pass out. Done. I'm asleep.
All right.
I'm asleep.
Focus.
All right. I'm going to bring it back to my favorite return yet again for the 15th time that I talked about. Billy Bones. Billy's back. I'm always impressed with how tall Tom Hopper is.
He's so tall.
He's towers. I mean,
I
don't think that Toby Stevens is that tall. I think he's shorter. I think he's 5'8", 5'9". But Billy Bones is a head over everybody.
6'4" or something.
Towering.
Oh
he's a mountain of a man.
Tall man.
So this is really relevant, I think, more than anything, because Billy comes back And, you know, he's being interviewed by the men. He's telling them about what happened and how he's pulled out of the water and how he escaped, quote unquote, my air quoting, that he escaped from these people from the Scarborough who had him. And, you know, we learn out more about that. But he tells everyone that he fell and that Flint tried to save him. Do you think that's true?
Do we think it's true?
Yes.
I think it's strategic.
No, I don't think it's true.
You know, I used to think that. For the longest time, I was like, no way, Flint threw him off the boat, whatever.
I don't think he threw him off the boat.
After all that was going on in around episode 6 and 7 and all that with Gates and everything that happened at the end of season 1, I thought, oh my gosh, Flint 100% threw him off the boat. I kind of don't now.
I mean, there could have been like a struggle between the two of them, and it was kind of an accident, and he fell off. But I don't think it was like, whoop, slipped, fell in.
Well, here's my thought.
Come on, you're a pirate. You don't fall off a boat.
He got hit by a cannon. I mean, it wasn't like it was just a rainstorm. It was like, I got hit by a cannon. So, well, here's why I think that, though. Because I know that he had that moment with Silver previously where he's like, you know, think about what you did. You're the same guy that lied about Singleton having that page. And think about what's best for the men and how they would react if this happens and how close we are to the gold and all that. But I feel like he could have said, yeah, he pushed me. And that wouldn't have changed anything. They think they know.
Yeah,
so
they don't trust him anyway.
They don't trust him anyway. So I almost wonder if the lie, maybe it wasn't a lie. Maybe he did fail. Maybe Flint did try to save him.
But in the middle of a vote, don't you think it's kind of like if he would have said, yeah, he pushed me, then that would have completely tipped the voting?
Maybe.
But I think that Billy's interest right now is either Flint's plan works, or I'm giving up Flint and I'm taking 9 people with me because I have amnesty for 9 people. So I think that that's maybe in the back of his mind. He was like, hey, if the off chance that this man's plan works, then I'm going to try to give him as much as I can because it's for the crew. It's not just for him and his interests. It's actually for the benefit.
And Billy Bones has been always a reasonable character and very much into his men and helping them. And that's why he became quartermaster after Gates. And in that period of time, very trusting and very loyal. And yeah, he has a great point. Why, if Flint can do this, why shouldn't we let him and help him? Because the whole idea of a Nassau that's on its own, has its own government, that they're free from persecution from England, especially now that he's been on an English ship and tortured by the English and knows that they're just around the corner on Harbor Island. Why? Why not?
No.
It's great. Perfect. Do it.
No. What did you think when they both saw each other for the first time?
Awkward.
Oh my gosh. They
very
were totally
awkward.
sizing each other up.
There was so much tension in that until they shook hands and didn't really know how that was going to go exactly.
I was just like...
So on a random side note as well, talking about historical things like I like to do, I'm not 100% positive, and I was trying to find this on the internet and I couldn't find it. I feel like thinking back in my lifetime when I read Treasure Island like a decade ago, Harbor Island is a place where they take the gold.
Gosh, I just bought Treasure Island, which is so funny.
I'm not positive, but I'm thinking about in Treasure Island when they go to get the gold, you know, when Squarchelani and, you know, all those people are with Jim and they go to find, I think Harbor Island is where they go.
You know what? I wish.
But I feel like
answer.
The reason I think that and what it does in terms of the storyline is now they go get the gold, and then Billy's with them taking him for the turn in, but then they bury the treasure there, and that's where he suggests to go, and like it could lead to a whole bunch of stuff that goes down with Flint, because that's why then Flint is not in Treasure Island, but that's why Billy Bones starts off Treasure Island with the treasure map and knowing where the treasure is, and you know.
I think that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
This is a random thing I was like, maybe.
I know.
Throwing that out there, seeing what sticks.
Hey, anybody that's listening, if you know that for sure,
if you know for sure if Harbor Island is where they bury the treasure,
where's the treasure buried?
In Treasure Island,
Phone it in.
from the Urca gold that they are going to get, then you know, let us know.
Yeah, please
hit us up on Twitter, YouTube, iTunes. There's a million sources of internet connectivity that you can use to get us.
I almost feel like, so we saw Dufresne being a bit doubtful during that sequence, you know, wanting to talk to Billy about stuff. And I wonder if he's going to kind of come under hot water or form some sort of partnership with Billy, or, you know, I've got my eye on
I don't trust Dufresne,
I guess. Me neither.
He's too wishy-washy for me. Like one minute he's on board, one minute he's against it. And like, I don't know where he stands. Like I know that Silver's shady. I know he's going to do the shady thing that's going to be best for him. I trust and believe in him to do that thing. I don't know with Dufresne what he might do or not do.
I think Dufresne might follow Billy. I think whatever Billy does, Dufresne does. I feel like Dufresne's character is definitely following you know what I mean? He's a following character. He'll follow like a leader, whoever he thinks is like. He followed Quartermaster before Billy. Why can't I think of
Gates?
He followed Gates. He'll follow Billy.
But keep in mind too, he also followed Groot when they were in that whole persecution of Silver thing, and with Randall and the whole he saw him lying. So I feel like he might follow a lot of people.
Yeah,
and I don't.
That's exactly.
So is Horning Gold going to convince him? Is somebody else
leader.
going to convince him?
Yeah, you're right.
Like, I don't know if I trust.
Where his loyalty
Where he's going to end up. He may go with Billy for a little bit, but then he may go somewhere else, and he may
or
go
use
somewhere
that
else.
information to
and
turn on
against
Billy,
him.
hold it over his head.
I don't know.
I don't trust him.
I don't trust
He,
him.
he is a
not
follower,
one
though.
bit.
Definitely,
He's
that
totally
is his
a follower.
character.
Mm-hmm.
He
Agreed.
had that brief glimpse of being,
And shot down
in
back into
charge.
following
Yeah.
him.
Oh, wah, wah.
No, definitely not. All right, so I now want to talk about my absolute favorite part of this episode.
Mr. Jack?
Jack.
Nope, not yet.
Oh,
Anne going
he is my
crazy?
favorite.
Dude,
Oh my gosh.
this show has a great cinematography, and they are very well filmed. I thought the scene with Anne Bonny standing over Logan's body and Charlotte with the backlighting,
Oh, it was so cool.
it was amazing. It
I
was
love
such
that
a
scene too. I mean, the sound editing of it after she stabs him,
Yeah.
and then it's like in that kind of like muted sound, and all she can hear is like her stabbing and stuff, and
'Cause
that
she's, like,
Charlotte's kind of a
blacked out.
murmur in
Yeah.
the back. Oh, I thought that was so cool.
It was really cool, man. Hell hath no fury
Like
like
a
a
woman
woman
scorned.
scorned.
So, and I'm sorry. Now that we've told you everything that's going to happen, let's
I
now
know,
set it
sorry.
all up and knock it down
Oh, my
again.
good-
Because we
goodness.
get, obviously Max is at the house and everyone's telling her that she should be afraid of, Anne Bonny running around and the things that are happening, and how she tried to join a crew and she ended up putting a spike through a guy's mouth
She
and
got
knocking his teeth out.
rejected.
Man.
And yeah, so
She's
they're
not a
just,
hot
leave.
one.
And I like how Max is reacting. We shouldn't act like we should be afraid of her, because think about what happened to her and how she's reacting. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I love.
perfectly
I
normal,
mean,
right?
I loved seeing how like empathetic she was to that. Like, imagine if the one person you loved betrayed you and then left. Like, she's empathizing with her and she really cares about her. And I think you were saying earlier, there's probably some real
Before the
love
show, there
going
might be some
on.
real affection
Yeah,
and emotion between the two of them.
I think that, like you said, she really empathizes with her. And again, I'm going to come back to, like, if you were a woman on a pirate island, you were either a servant or a whore. Or
Well, keep in
Elanor.
mind, they both have a thing where they were, they were both raped.
Exactly.
And they were both abused,
So I
so
think-
they have a connection.
Exactly.
Right.
I think that's what especially brings them together as a connection, because that's what brought Anne to saving Max, and I think now Max is trying to save Anne. I don't know. It bums me out a lot that Rackham and Anne's relationship is where it's at right now, because they're probably my favorite relationship in the entire show.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, it'll definitely come back
Yeah.
around. We'll talk about it when we start talking about Jack, but I think a lot of the stuff he did this week, motivated by Anne.
Totally.
And he even says at one point,
I want to gain their trust and get you in.
Yeah, I've took the biggest risk that I've ever taken, essentially, potentially losing the one person I love. So it's got to be worth it.
It's gotta be.
It's cute.
Oh,
That's
tender.
sweet. That's
But anyway, back to, Anne goes nuts, kills both of them, which is a pretty, those aren't just like,
That was
you
amazing.
know.
And I like that how they set it up, because she goes in the room after Charlotte was in there with Logan and puts the knife to his throat and says, "You know who I am? Tell me about the gold." Mm-hmm. And he said, "You know who I am, you know who my crew is, you know who my men are, you know what they're going to do to you, you know all this stuff, do something." And he stands up. And I was
calls her
like,
bluff.
please don't. I was hoping more than anything, not that I wanted Logan to die, or I didn't want Anne Bonny to be belittled in the way
made
that
fun of.
if she wouldn't have done it, it would have made me feel about her as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would have felt differently, I think, about her not killing him, and liked her less than I did about her killing him, even though it was like, wow, you killed somebody. But at the same time, like, the fact that she stood up for herself and in that aspect, I liked that.
Killing him, definitely. Killing Charlotte a little second.
She was just like, get it, shut up. Yeah. She was just
probably
kind of
should've
like,
I would have been pumped if you stopped at Logan. I mean, Charlotte's just like an innocent bystander, and it just made you. But that was that push that was like, whoa, she just had a break. Like, that was a break.
Yeah.
She could not.
because if anyone else had walked into that room, she probably would have taken them out too.
Right, and then later Max comes in and
Absolutely.
she's like in the corner, like cowering and like, thinking about what she has done and realizing what she has done. And that was another great shot. That was very like 40s love story movie, because they had like the lights going across their face.
Yeah.
And so, as you can't hear my mouth, they had the lights going across Max's eyes, and then when Anne Bonny looks up, her hat just shows her one eye, and like it's very much her, where they have just the one eye look of her face kind of half covered.
Yeah.
And then they had that really intimate moment where she's like, I know what you did, and I know why you did it, I understand, and I'm gonna stand up and protect you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time we've seen Max be very manipulative, but I don't think that was one of those moments. I think it was really heartfelt
genuine. I agree.
and genuine. Yeah.
And I think what this is going to lead
She
to
gained nothing.
is Jack is going to have a defining moment also that's going to involve Jack and Max standing up for Anne. Because something that's going to become of this. It's not going to, they're not going to believe the lie.
It's not a little thing.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not going to believe the lie that Logan and Charlotte ran away together. I don't believe that people are going to be all like, oh, okay, he was afraid to die. Yeah, totally. Oh, that makes totally sense. Yeah, let's just run off and be all friends.
Yeah.
I don't think that people will buy that. I think if anyone can sell it, Silver can, and I'm interested to see him do it, but I don't think that they are going to buy it, and I think that Max and Jack are going to do something to stand up for Anne.
Do you think Silver's alliance with Max is like genuine, or do you think that he thinks he can get something from her? Because he stood up for her on multiple accounts where he's gained nothing. Besides, I mean, in this case, yeah, if people start asking questions, he's gonna say whatever he's gonna say.
Yeah.
But I feel like he looks out for Max, and I think it's because they had that initial business partnership, and he was
Right.
like the first.
And I feel like he like sees kind of some of himself in her to a certain extent. You know, she's scrappy and looking out for herself and resourceful, and does it in a way that's not like violent and burning bridges and just like, you know, storming through everywhere. She does it in a kind of charming way, like he does. So I feel like they're very similar in how they operate, and so he respects
They have
her.
a nice parallel.
You know, and even when he came in and he's like, oh, I'm looking for the madam, and she's like, oh, you found her. He's like, oh, did I?
And it's funny because, and I was about to just comment on that. I actually kind of forgot, because you when you watch the show, and really you don't remember or think about, because it's a week apart and, you know, it's progressing, that really it's only been a couple days. So like the fact that she went from being this whore who's being raped, and then like 2 weeks later she's on the madam, and like a week later they're back, and you know, it's really only been like a month in time frame of what's happened.
That stood out to me today, or this weekend,
and it
because
just makes you think, oh yeah, I forgot, like he's only really been gone like a week and a half or two.
Yeah, because she's in the same dress as she was last week. Yeah. So I was like, oh, duh, that's right. It is exactly the same day. It hasn't been a week for them too, like it has been for
I've
me.
been waiting all week for the show, and I realized it's only been 12 hours.
Yeah.
On Nassau. It's because they're in Africa. I think that spins different down there.
They're going back in time. It's opposite.
They're on the bottom. It's the southern hemisphere.
Slower, faster.
They're in the Indian Ocean. Australia's down there.
What do you guys think Anne is going to do with that information? Because historically, I'm not going to get into that because you're the historical
Go
guy.
ahead. I love when people throw history down.
He'll let you know if you're right or wrong.
I don't want to
Maybe I don't know the
my
answer.
credibility as a
that's fine.
But do you
have
think
to say
Anne
it.
is actually like? Do you think she's going to be? I don't know, because she seems so upset still with Rackham. Do you think it's going to take a lot for her to trust him again? And I know that he did this in her best interest, but to her it probably doesn't feel like that. So do you think now, knowing the gold is for sure out there and nobody's really going after it, I mean, it's not like she can scramble up a crew and just go, but what do you think she's going to do with that information?
Give it to Jack.
You think so? Oh,
I feel like I really hope that he comes back all like great captain-y and is like, hey, come be my first mate. Haha, get it? No, but like has her be a really...
Don't forget to put the sword away. I mean, she said it. I just had to elaborate.
I set him up. I can't
smokes.
do that with Mr. Ryan Hooks here. He's going to take the bait.
There it goes.
Let's go on. That one's out of here.
My
But
gosh.
I that's how I see it, you know, him coming back all like,
All
you know,
suave and-
the knight and giving her like some important role on the ship now that he's proved himself as a worthy captain.
And she gives like a gruff, sure.
Yeah.
She says
All right,
All right,
men.
hold that thought, because before we go, I want to
know,
finish. I want to finish talking about
getting ahead of
Animax.
ourselves.
Okay, sorry.
No, and I actually want to talk about what we said about with Silver. I think that this week in his interaction, I think Silver did what he did only for himself. It didn't matter that he liked Max or didn't like Max. He saw that this situation was going to be a bigger deal than covering it up. Like if they found out that Dylan went there, told someone, and they're both dead, that means somebody knows what the gold is. They're going to freak out. It's going to be a huge thing. If it just goes away, even if they don't lie, it just goes away-ish, it's better for everyone.
But I feel like if it came down to it and she made up a story, he'd back it.
And that's why he asked her, tell me the truth. What do you think? Let's talk about this right now, because we got to figure something out. So
Yeah.
the story that they go with is now their story.
Yeah. I kind of like that. I think that you're right. He totally did it for himself. But I also think there's that underlying, like, he secretly kind of likes Max. He thinks the way, like, there's that
Can
parallel.
you blame him?
Really? But there's that parallel that's they're kind of the same person, just in different aspects.
They're in different,
of
they're different points.
Yeah, they're different points in
they're
their
doing
life.
different things for the same goals.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
All right, now we can talk about Jack Rackham, Captain Jack Rackham.
favorite part.
Little
He-
Jack.
he's not
so
Calico Jack yet,
excited.
but he's still Captain Jack.
I love the beginning when he's on the. He's like, listen, can you hear it? No women.
Perfect. On a fun side note, we were talking about the flag last week.
Oh yeah.
First off,
Totally
loved
there.
the flag. But second off, I sent you a picture. A friend of ours from here at AfterBuzz, Matt, he is a pirate historian who lives in Florida. He started emailing last year during the season. We started talking about history and pirates, and that's how we got hooked up. He sent me an email with Jack Rackham's flag like beforehand, and I was like, oh yeah, this is so cool.
Yeah,
like
super cool.
I was really excited about it. It was the one he sent me is a little different than the one they used in the show, because the one in the show actually has the hat, and the one he sent me didn't have the hat. It's more of the traditional, swords and skull, which maybe he will change it. But I like that even in the comment, he's like, what about my banner?
Yeah, he's like, what's wrong with it?
Yeah,
Like, stop
like
talking
that's
about
such a
the
big
banner.
thing. That like the banner strikes fear in the hearts of millions.
Oh.
All right, so Jack's at sea, and I like that there's this whole little moment with him and Featherstone where he's like, listen, if you have questions, just let me know. Like, I know that you are, this is kind of new to you, and you're not really the best at a lot of stuff. So we're in this together, and let's just work together.
Yeah, he's like, I'm on your side. I'll vouch for you, but really, like, we know you're not.
But then, boom, in your
Captain.
face, Captain Jack Rackham
Kills it.
and
Literally.
well, no, and because
He does.
right in that immediate scene after they're talking, they say, hey, sails ahead, and he like makes that maneuver to drop the sails and swings the boat at an arcing angle, so he cuts in and takes their wind and pulls this like sweet maneuver.
He's like, either you're an idiot or you're doing something pretty
you just did
smart.
the most brilliant thing that I couldn't even have thought about doing.
We'll just assume
and
it's the latter.
he just looks
Yeah.
at him like,
He's like, I don't know which one. But
let
thank you.
me just pretend like I know what's going on. I think he knows. I think he's a very, very intelligent person. I think he knows a lot about the sea, and especially being under Vane, he was very political, but I think he learned stuff.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
I mean, how do you be in that position and not hear what's going on and see what's going on and think about ways to do stuff?
I feel like he'd be like a sponge. He has like the best characteristics of, I mean, maybe not the best, but a lot of great characteristics from a lot of different characters. Like I think he has like I think he has loyalty like Billy. I think he has like wit like Silver, and I think he's true to his cause as well.
Like Flint, yeah, Flint's true to his cause.
Like Flint, exactly. I think that he has the best of the characters. I don't know. I really like Rackham. He's becoming one of my
not
favorites.
really, he's not slimy.
He's
I mean,
not.
You love him. He's
Well,
like
and I told you
doing the
that,
right
and I've
thing.
said this
Clever.
before. When the actors were in, all three of them said that he was their favorite character this season.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I mean, if the people who are on the show are telling us that they like him the best, there's a reason that they like him the best. So we must clearly like him. I like
Weird.
him. So weird.
I love how they name that the name of Linus's ship is the
Goliath.
Goliath. And Rackham I mean, when you have a ship that's named the Goliath and it's coming up, the writers are doing some obvious foreshadowing there. Like the little Rackham is gonna take on big Goliath. I wonder what's gonna happen.
What happens?
But I love that they slipped that in there. And
And they
Rackham
called him
even
on it,
calls
too.
it. Yeah, he's
It's
like
the biggest failure in war
warfare,
history,
yeah.
really. The men think it sounds good.
Yeah, like that.
All right. What I wrote the captain's name, Captain Harcourt. I'm
I
pronouncing
thought you
it.
just said hardcore. I'm like,
Captain
Captain Hardcore.
Captain
is down
Parkour?
to business.
His name was
Parkour?
Hardcore on the Goliath. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Is this like a porn movie now or what?
Hardcore?
Yeah, it's hardcore on the Goliath.
I just was like, never mind.
Never mind.
what's happening?
You lost it. We're done.
He got
The show's over. We're going home.
Where are
No,
we?
I'm kidding. So Captain Harcourt is Harcourt.
Okay,
It's
I got
pronounced
it now.
Harcourt.
Hardcore.
Harcourt.
Captain Hardcore, keep going.
Wait,
And drops Mike out. But I like this whole little interaction where he shows up and he's like, you know what, we have more men than you. So here's the three things that are going to happen. Number one is our crews can fight, which clearly you're outmatched. Number two is we can fight. And then like that was brought up once, but it wasn't brought up again later. And then three, we can just split the merchandise. Seems like a good thing to do. It's your first score. Why not? First day on the job,
Yeah.
new
Aw.
banner. You seem a little sketchy. I'm not sure how to do all this. And literally screws him.
yeah. He's like, you got the tobacco and all the
Sugar.
guns or sugar or whatever. And he's like, and you gave me the pots and pans.
Blankets.
Blankets.
It's equal tonnage.
yeah. Oh.
The one thing I like too that they threw in was kind of a joke. He's like, you've got like 9/10 of the value. He's like, really more like 4/5. Like, because pirates are doing fractions now.
Yeah.
4/5 of the merchandise is not greater than 9/10 of the merchandise.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh.
All right, so Jack
I
does
wouldn't be
his
able to
thing
think that
though,
quick.
talks to Featherstone and realizes they're getting screwed, but Featherstone thinks he should take it. It's his first score. it'll look good to at least leave with something. Nobody got hurt.
He's like, no one expects you to fight this guy. They expect you to just take the compromise, however crappy it is, but just, it's fine.
Perfect.
Buddy. Do it. It's okay. We won't be mad at you.
I know, and you could see his wheels turning too. As soon as that was said, he was like, man, I've got some options here.
Yeah, he's like, they think I'm a sissy.
I know, he would rather, but like what I loved about this and like was such a defining, because this is
Got lucky.
He got lucky, but
Yeah.
pre-Rackham, this episode, I was like, okay, he's probably going to split it, go back and try to find a plan to make himself captain again, because he's not going to be captain after this. But he chooses probable death over not being captain
And I
anymore.
love how he like attacks him. It's so
Yes!
silly. He's like, ah! You know, just
He
like
threw his
goes
cup on him
for it.
first.
Yeah.
And I was watching the episode and I was like, oh, he's totally going to throw that wine right in his face. I actually thought it was hot coffee. I was like, oh, he's going to throw that hot coffee in his face. Then I realized
Smart.
it was wine after he got it on
Yeah.
him. But I was like, oh, that'd be cool. He's going to throw it in his face. He's going to burn his
It
face and then he
wasn't-
can't see.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't the most graceful attack ever,
No.
but
he's like,
it
"Oh,
worked.
And
Yeah.
he's slapping him or what?
And you're just like, oh crap, what are you doing, Jack?
And then he gets beat down. But luckily he cut the jugular and he
Yeah.
bleeds out because he's struggling so hard.
and you see his face when he sees him bleeding, he's like, what?
He's like, what happened? He's
How did
dying?
When?
Me?
And then he's like underneath him and he's like, wait.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But this decision was such a defining moment for his character, I feel like, because
Oh, huge.
he could have gone one of two ways.
It was huge. It asserts him as a badass, and he proved
Ish.
himself to ish. I mean,
He
it
has
asserts
courage,
himself
though.
as
It shows he has courage.
yeah, he has
that
courage.
could
That was
be.
so ballsy,
Especially
And-
without Anne, because Anne usually fights for him. She's always
right,
fought for him.
right,
Exactly.
and he gains a whole bunch of new men on his side. That was a really quick move for
Clever,
him
yeah.
too.
I
know,
He's
I
like,
love that he was all-
free these guys because this, you know,
They're gonna
he
kill
would've-
him, yeah.
He would have killed you
The
guys
reason-
all. I want you to be on my side.
Exactly.
You're part
Oh
of my
my
crew,
gosh.
essentially. So
I don't think he'll take them on. I mean, who knows? But
But it was like so clever that he said the reason why I fought and killed him is because he said he was going to kill all of you guys.
Yeah.
and we
So
don't
he's-
want that.
He's
Yeah.
very,
Exactly.
very sharp, very quick.
So quick.
I saw it coming personally, but
Of course you did.
of course I did.
Weird.
Jeez.
I see a lot of this stuff coming though. It's because I have foresight. What? What are you laughing at? Go ahead, say it.
Nothing.
Come on, Jamie.
Nothing.
I'm the bad one. I'm the dirty one.
Okay,
With all the correct
alright,
stuff.
nothing. But back to Jack. Jack and Silver, like, they had this survivor instinct, and I feel like Silver's not a really courageous character. Like, I feel like he would throw somebody into a bus if it
Like,
would save his life.
yeah,
you know
like
what I
throw
mean?
sand in their face and then run away.
Exactly. But I feel like this moment. I feel like this moment separated I don't know why, in my mind, Rackham and Silver were like the same person to me, and this completely separated their characters, and now Rackham is like up here.
All
And
right.
Silver's kind of
Two
the
things.
sissy one.
First off, can you throw sand in the face and run away again? That was not as good of a run. That's better. Second of all, it's a bit interesting to say that because when I was watching it earlier, the part when Silver goes to Max and they see the bodies and he's sort of like shying to the door, like it's almost like the bodies are grossing
He's like,
him out. He's like,
"Ew."
ew, there's dead bodies on the ground. I mean, obviously we've seen him fight and kill people, and we've seen him sort of be okay. Because then that one scene when him and Flint were tied to the chairs, he's like, kill that one. He's got more scars. It means he's fought more. You know, and then there was a poor struggle. But I feel like he was sort of like afraid of the blood spill that was in the room from Logan and Charlotte.
Or even him hiding. The first scene we meet Silver, he's
Yeah,
literally
he's always
hiding
hiding
from death.
somewhere. Yeah, it's
I know.
positioned to
Self-preservation.
be
Exactly.
positioned to be strategic and like he's the political one, but it could just be he's like, I don't want to get my hands dirty.
I'm good. Like, I know I'm not the best fighter, so I'm not gonna. Like,
Yeah.
that's all you.
Yep, I'm out. I'll just keep using my brain.
Exactly.
Well, but it does, though, with this fight and him winning, it does put him in a position now, especially to bring on Anne. Hopefully, like I said, I think they're going to go back and they're going to have to stand up for Anne because something's going to come about of this.
Yeah.
And he's going to use his current new position to help protect her.
Definitely.
Maybe bring her on board or, you
Yep.
know, bring her back in, whatever needs to be done. But and then we get the end of the episode this week. Elanor and Vane have finished cuddling. Whatever it is they do in the dark.
They do something.
Kiss something. I don't really know.
like
And
we
she
see
steals the
anything.
keys and goes to Abigail Ash and tells her that I'm here to free you. Come on, let's go. But I didn't like that she shut the door. Like, I know she's trying to be discreet so people don't walk by and see the
Like,
door
she's gonna
open.
get caught.
I think she's gonna get locked in the prison cell.
I think she is too. I think Vane's gonna be like, I'm done with this. I'm over it. You've screwed me over too many times. Later, lock the key. You're out.
Yep.
Bye-bye, Elanor.
Yeah, I was almost thinking that maybe she was going to have Abigail come hide with her and kind of then use Abigail as her own bargaining chip, kind of.
I think she's in with Flint, and getting Abigail was for
like
Flint.
Do you think Vane will use Elanor and Abigail as a bargaining chip for the warship? Like if he locks up
Just the
Elanor
fort.
and Abigail, really?
I think the ship's off the table.
Yeah.
So
It was a big
that was a big.
play.
He
was a
whined
big
out, go
play.
for broke,
He's
right?
like,
See what
fine,
happens.
give me your ship.
But I mean, if they're all in like they say they are, what's switching ships?
Yeah.
They don't have a ship though. That's the thing. They got to get one. And if it's Hornigold's ship now, which he's not going to give because he's all not on board with him anymore because he lost his fort and that was his thing. So
Yeah, Hornigold's pissed now.
Or Hornigold goes away. Like I don't see all of these characters staying. I don't see all these conflicting ideas all being alive together.
It's
for
interesting
much
you're talking
longer.
about characters like leaving or being taken out. I was actually thinking about characters being added. Well, because I was thinking about the history of Nassau as I was reading all this stuff about Nassau, and I was wanting to know if they're going to introduce two characters. Number one, Mary Read, who's the other famous female pirate who is very popular in Nassau, and number two, Edward Teach, aka Blackbeard the Pirate. And I want to know if either of those people are going to be introduced in this season or next season as characters.
Do you think Anne Bonny could be? This is what I was going to talk about earlier, and I didn't because I didn't want to ruin my AfterBuzz credibility. Do you think that?
Go ahead, let's talk about that one.
Do you think that Anne Bonny could become that next woman pirate? I mean, they don't have to have the same names. A lot of things aren't historically the same.
Anne
in the
Bonny
show.
But
is
Anne Bonny was
dead, and now she becomes Mary Read.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Or there is no Mary Read, and it just becomes Anne Bonny, and her character develops into.
Well, I mean, Flint used to be James McGraw, so who knows?
What could happen?
There's not a lot of... Anyway, we'll see. That could...
Okay, sorry.
I mean,
Totally
probably not,
random.
but,
I mean,
you know, we'll just see what happens.
All right.
We'll just throw that out and see if it sticks. Like spaghetti on the wall. All right, what else do we need to talk about? What else? Do you feel like we missed anything? I feel like we did a pretty solid job this week here at
I
AFTERBUZZ
don't
TV
think we
talking
really
about Black
missed
Sails.
anything.
I don't think we
No.
know.
Check your notes.
I
See if you
know,
got
I'm
questions.
looking. I don't think we missed anything.
I wrote "so cool" next to the scene where Bonnie in the tavern. I thought that was awesome. I still think it's awesome. I sent I sent a tweet out to Clara, who plays Anne Bonny. I was like, "Dude, that was the coolest scene in Black Sails history. Thank you so much."
Killed it. And she's
You know
an
what?
amazing
I love
actress.
female characters. There's another show that I watched called The Musketeers. It's like a remake of The Musketeers on BBC America. And the woman who plays Milady had this scene, and she like has sort of changed. And I was like, I hope the season ends with her killing this character. Like that was my. I was tweeting Mimi McCoy, who's the actress who plays it, and she's like, oh, that'd be so cool. And I hope it does work out. I just like seeing women in power.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I have 2 women panelists. I can't complain.
There we go.
Good to look at. Perfect. So we had a good time then here at AfterBuzz TV. But before we go, we do have to talk about predictions.
Yeah.
Flashy lights, play my music. Boom.
And now, your
Jamie's hair is now blue instead of green.
Predictions.
Well then, Lauren saw
I don't
tell me.
have too many predictions.
I think we predicted a lot throughout this.
a lot of things during the show, but I think Hornigold's gonna die.
Yes. I hope. No, right.
Yeah, I don't think that battle with the fort. I don't think he's gonna get very far with him going his own way and fighting
Trying to get
against
the goal,
everybody.
trying to fight everyone.
I think he's gonna die next week.
Okay. Next week. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm gonna say it. We haven't had the big.
we
a
haven't.
big kill recently.
Somebody's gonna die.
We have
next
4.
week.
I was counting on my hand over here. How many episodes? We have 4 episodes left in the show. Before the season ends, so we do have some stuff, major stuff that's going to start probably in the next 2 weeks to be wrapped up in the next 2 weeks after that. I know there's some big stuff going down, and I know that we're going to get more Abigail Ash because she's going to be freed from the prison, so we're going to get a lot of her
Definitely
story.
more Abigail Ash. I think more Miranda as like a lady power figure.
I think in a couple weeks, some major stuff's going to happen with Richard Guthrie as well.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Interesting.
Yes. Something's going to go crazy down with that. And what are you thinking, Jamie Elias?
I have 3 predictions.
Only 3? Okay, go.
One of them is kind of a hope prediction. I hope Rackham comes back and he fixes things with Anne. I hope that.
I love the hopes.
I hope
Jamie
I hope
Elias
and-
hopes.
I know. I should
The
just
weekly
predict.
hopes.
It's a hope.
The hopes and dreams of
All
Jamie
right,
Elias.
it's a hope
Brought to you by AfterBuzz
prediction.
TV.
Just stop it.
It's okay. I love it.
I think that Silver is going. I think that Silver doubts Flint and his motives and where his loyalties lay and what he wants to do. So I think Silver's going to start hatching his own plan for the gold.
Yeah, do some plotting.
I think he's going to plot.
Well, that maybe goes
wonder
against the
if he's
Hornigold
gonna-
thing.
Right. I wonder if Silver and Billy are gonna maybe team up.
I don't know. But
If
I
he
think
finds out
Silver's
about
smart
the
enough to
pardons,
do
I think that he
something.
might be on board with that.
I think be like,
Absolutely.
oh hey.
He would jump ship and jump ship.
I know. Look at all
What'd you do there? Put a quarter in the jar.
Oh
Come
my
on.
gosh. And my last one is I think Vane is going to catch Elanor in the act, and I think something's going to go down there, but I'm not quite sure.
Oh yeah, I think Elanor for sure is getting locked up in that prison cell.
She's
sure.
done for.
She's stuck in there. They're going to let her out later, but I think she's definitely getting locked up in there for a hot minute. Yep. And then Vane's going to be all like, listen, she was trying to steal this woman, and now you want her back, it's going to cost you.
Yep.
Yeah, give me that ship.
He's going to sell her.
Absolutely.
I don't know about for the ship. I don't think that's going to go down.
Probably not, but
something's
he's going to.
go down.
Something,
Yeah, Flint's going to have to get a little
Flint, good luck,
shirt off
man.
his back at least.
Good luck
All
next
right.
week.
Well then, guys, thank you so much for tuning in here to the AfterBuzz TV Black Sails podcast. Ladies, where can we find out more information about you, Lauren Salaun?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, at Lauren Salaun. That's Salaun.
Bringing it back with Z. You can find me on the Twitter or the Instagram at Jamie Elias. That's JamieSelias.
Nice, sprechen Sie Deutsch. Okay. All right, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, our iTunes, our podcast, all that kind of stuff. Give us 5-star ratings. Tell us what you think. Also, don't forget to check out American Crime coming up here on May 5th at 10/9 Central on ABC, and also
March 5th.
It's March, it's May, it's a month with the M. I'm sorry, March 5th at 10/9 Central on
This
ABC.
week.
And it is this week.
It's March.
Holy
It's March,
crap.
dude.
Well, dang.
Shut up.
Where are we?
I'm so confused. You know what you can do to fix that confusion is you can follow me on Twitter at RyanHooks92 and also Instagram, and you can find out all the answers to all the questions that your life is dying to have. And if not, then tune in next week to our AfterBuzz Black Sails panel. We will be back discussing episode number 7. These lovely ladies will be here. I'll be here. We'll see you guys then. See you later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.